This episode is sponsored by Frey's Flowers, a Western New York family-run flower farm and floral preservationist. They now offer unique pressed flowers in the shape of buffaloes in prints, in different sizes and in handmade wooden frames. Be on the lookout for bills, sabers, and bandits colored buffaloes coming soon.
You can get a hold of them on their website at phraseflowers.com. That's Frase flowers.com, or check them out on Facebook and Instagram. Bring more joy and color into your life at Phrase Flowers. What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host Phil, episode 365. If we did this every single day, we would have been doing it for exactly 1 year, but we've been doing this for over 4 years. Phil, welcome to the off season. It's finally here. We went 6 straight months of 2 shows a week. And it's going to take me a while to get used to that intro of saying Wednesday, because that'll be for the next 6 months as well.
Yeah, I got to, we had a big break, big championship vacation. I got to Sunday night and there was no recording. It got to Monday night and I didn't have to write an article. And here we are, 2 days off, and that was our vacation, and we are back at it. It'll be a little bit more of a vacation this next one when it's a full week in between shows, but it was a little weird. Even as we got later into Sunday night, I kind of kept thinking, like, do we have to record tonight? I thought we were going off season, but are we recording today? I don't know. But the longer and longer it went, you didn't say anything. I was like, all right, we are in off season mode. It felt good. And then I thought that, with June just starting and about 6 months from now, we'll already be back in season, and that kind of scared me. So I'm going to thoroughly enjoy the off season as much as I can, because that'll be real quick.
Well, first disclaimer, if you do hear a puppy, it's our last of the 3 barking in the background. She's in her crate. It's supposed to be nap time, because Brooke just went to the gym. I'm recording. I'm not having a little puppy running around here peeing everywhere. So if you do hear that, hopefully I can get it on post. If you can't, you're going to hear a little puppy until she actually falls asleep. Secondly, I think last year, because the Bandits finished it in 2 games instead of 3, we were able to take like an 11-day break. We took like an extra 4-day break this time. But yeah, like you said, this next gap in between episodes will be about 7 days, so we'll get to enjoy it a little bit more. Half of the fence is up. We posted the update on the Instagram and Facebook. Plenty of people reached out and said it looks really good. That's half of the yard. We did the math. This backyard that I'm currently building is going to be bigger than our entire lot of our Niagara Falls location of a house. Not just the house, like the whole lot from Niagara Falls could fit in the backyard that we're building right now. It's a big undertaking, but we're halfway done. If you ever want to build a fence and you have the money to do it, hire out. That's all I'm going to say. I don't have, and I would never hire out to build a fence because I can do it myself.
That's actually the more important part right there. I'm sure you do have, but you never would.
Never would, because I've seen some of the prices. Producer Pat's getting some estimates for fencing on his end as well, and his yard is much smaller than mine. I don't even want to know how much mine would cost. But yeah, I have the capabilities to do it. I've built them in the past, getting some help from my dad, who's got a lot more experience with concrete and making everything possible as well. So I'm doing all the manual labor, but I got him instructing me in some projects to make sure that it's correct and that the dogs aren't just going to bust through it. But yeah, if you can feasibly do it, hire out, because it's a pain in the butt. It's definitely a pain in the butt, and I'm only halfway done. But yeah, it's going well. We're cutting off the tops of the post now, putting some solar lights on top of it, and then I hand it over to the wife, Brooke, who gets to stain it all, because I'm not doing that. I told her from the get-go, I'm not going to stain. I don't mind staining, but once this thing's built, I'm done. I'm tapping out. But yeah, that's my week recap so far. Gonna buy some lavender on Wednesday and get that done. So because the mosquitoes, I don't know if it's bad by you as well. I'm hearing that it's bad everywhere. The mosquitoes are horrible here. And there's not even any standing water, but there's mosquitoes everywhere. Niagara Falls, we sprayed vinegar all over the yard. That seemed to work, but you just got to keep up with it. Like every other day, just spray the yard with vinegar, and vinegar's cheap, so you can do it. It's not really working here, so we're going to go out and buy a ton of lavender plants. That's good for ticks with dogs. Where we're at with the big field behind us, that'll help big time, but that also helps with mosquitoes. If anybody out there has any home remedies that are safe for dogs about mosquitoes, pass them along, because I need them bad. My legs are eaten alive right now.
That's one of the tough things with animals. When we were indoor plant shopping the other day, and you go through and you look at, like, oh, that's a cool looking plant. It doesn't need, like, we were looking for, I think we were just looking for shaded plants, because the part of the garden we were looking towards, or it was indoors. I think it was the garden, though. Doesn't get a lot of sunlight, so we were looking for ones that don't need a lot of light, and then just ones we liked in general. And it pretty much came down to like one or two options between doesn't need light and is also pet safe. Like 99.9% of plants seem bad for your pets. So it's very difficult to find anything. I think it was indoors that we were trying to get it. And the cats, they're pretty good. They're pretty well behaved. They don't really bite. They don't eat too many of the plants or anything. They'll like bite it, but not actually, they'll just chew it and then not actually eat it. But still, obviously, you don't want to bring anything in that might tempt them or is bad for them. So it's very difficult finding anything that, aligns with multiple things, especially animals. Most things just are not good. Like we would find one like, oh, this is perfect. Got the shade, everything. Google it. It's like horrible for cats. Like, all right, move on to the next one. And it just kept happening until finally found that sweet spot. And I think we really did come down to like one or two options, and that was about it.
Yeah. We're in the same boat. I do like that a lot of places now, I don't know if that's been the case before I bought a house, but for the last 8 years, there's been signs everywhere on some of the lawn and garden stores that say which plants are safe and which ones are not safe and toxic and all that other stuff. So, we're going to be buying a lot of lavender. Because it's a massive backyard.
It's going to smell like laundry in your backyard.
Oh, and I don't even like the smell of lavender either, Phil. So this is the things I do for this household. I'm a giver, Phil. I'm a giver. But remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com. No more articles for a little bit. We're taking a break. Maybe there'll be one that pops up here or there. But again, we're in the off-season mode, so don't expect one every week. You can check out our store on our link tree on our social media sites or at the top of the website by hitting the shop tab. You can represent the BSC on the go and look for the time breakdowns in the description of the show, even though there will not be any this time. Reminder that we are in off-season. That means one show a week. The last few shows we've kind of illustrated this, but again, maybe new listeners after the Bandits win. We usually get some new ones trickling in after the Bandits championship. Thank you for continuing to win, because that benefits us as well. But every Wednesday we will be airing a new show, not Mondays and Fridays anymore. But the off-season, as we mentioned in the last show, we get to be a little bit more creative, off the cuff. We just talked for, 8 minutes about our backyards and plants. So expect that type of show. But remember, every show will have a Bandits or NLL type of theme. We are a Bandits-centered show, so there will be that. Bills and Sabres will be mixed in. Sabres, very, very, very sparingly. But before we do dive into what the main topic of the show is, and if you look through the title, you already know it's the nominations, the BSC Fantasy Game winners. I reached out to Jackson B. I got his official game-winning shirt. Got size, colors, everything. It will be shipped off to him ASAP. Congratulations once again, Jackson B. Sweeping the floor, even though Phil was in charge. Game 17, I believe you had first place, and then I think Jackson B took it back over. Then we did the random winner. I have contacted them. I'm waiting to hear back, find out exactly what they want for merch. We thought it was right to give away something else, because Phil and I also dominated this one. We both made the podium. Since nobody came in second, we were like, okay, let's give something away to a random winner. That way, if you did participate in the game, you had a chance to win something. Juliet B was the winner. I got the video. We'll post it in the comments section of this post on our Facebook and Instagram channel. I put all names into a hat, and then I waved the magic wand online, and it popped out Juliet B's name. So congratulations, Juliet B. If you're listening to the show, check your DMs, because I reached out to you. I'm waiting to hear back so we can get your order off to you ASAP. Congratulations, Juliet B, Jackson B. The Bees win it for the BSC Bandits Fantasy game.
I assume you don't have to say them on here at all, but do you know their last names, I assume?
I do, yes.
They are different bees,
They
correct?
are different bees, yes. Yes.
Would have been pretty
fun.
great if they were not. But they're
There's a lot
different
of B's and a lot of K's, and I think a lot of M's. I don't know.
High percentage for the random winner. But congratulations, like you said. Fantasy winner. It was a lot of fun to do. Like you've mentioned plenty of times, we will tweak it this offseason to make it a little bit better for next season. Hopefully we get some more people involved. But it was a lot of fun to do. Free to enter was a good time. But it was fun to watch the leaderboard, fun to talk about, and nice to get our listeners involved in a different way and also try to get you guys some free stuff. So it was good. Good time, especially for the first time.
So one more thing before we dive into the nominations. It's not on the docket here, but Phil, I'm going to put you on the hot spot here. You were our BSC representative at the parade on Friday. I was building my fence, and I know everybody's going to be sick of that, but that's just what I was doing. That's why I was not there. And I know the reason that you went to the parade. I'll let you handle that part of it. But from your aspect as our representative of this company at the parade, how did it go? Third straight one from the Buffalo Bandits. How was the whole environment down there?
It was good. I got this shirt. Yay, champions. It was a pretty nice shirt. But no, it was good. It was good. Cold was the biggest thing. It was very cold. I dressed warm, knowing it would be windy and cold, but it was cold. And the other issue was it was very delayed. I think the logistics of using the fire trucks, it seemed like, this is no insider information or known for sure, but it seemed like they would have the fire trucks go through, do a lap, drop some people off, and then circle back around, pick up more people, and then 5-10 minutes later would come through again, drop some more people off, and that happened for, 5-6 laps. I know at one point Swenny was saying hey, this is supposed to be over pretty soon, and nobody was on the stage yet. Even mentioned the guys, we're supposed to be wrapping this up. Can we get some players out here? So it went a little bit longer than expected, but overall it was good. The atmosphere was good. A lot of fans there. It was a good time. It was nice to see all the players again. Nice to acknowledge them. And, their speeches, everything they mentioned, everything they were saying was really good. I think of the things that kind of stood out to me, Dane had a pre-written speech once again, which he's done in the past. Still like it. Still like what he's going there. And then Kluche, as much as everybody says Banditland's great, we appreciate the fans. I do think they all mean it. I'm not trying to say that they don't. But Kluche's nod to the fans seemed so incredibly heartfelt. You could see the kind of passion and just, the drive behind the little shout out to Banditland. He talked about it for most of his time that he was up there, and you could tell it just felt different than the, typical, we love Banditland. It's great. We love the atmosphere. Couldn't do without you guys. A lot of this we do for the fans. There's always that from pretty much every player, and it's very true. And again, not saying they don't believe it, but Kluche's was it was different. You could tell that he really, really felt it and was truly appreciative of being able to win it. And it's still mind-blowing to me that they've been able to not only win 3 straight, but win 3 straight at home, especially in different ways, in 3-2 and then 3 again. It's just insane that they keep having the opportunity and are taking that opportunity to win it at home. And you can see just the passion behind all the fans and all the players. And it's fun to see them in a little bit more of a loose atmosphere. I know a lot of people that go out with the players afterwards and go to all the parties and things see that side of them, but for the majority of people, especially with families that might not go to those after parties, it was nice to see them in a little bit more of their casual selves, not the player atmosphere that they normally are in.
So it sounds like it was a great time, Phil. Thank you for representing the BSC while there. Pat and Teddy, we did tag you. I know you requested it, so we did it. You're welcome. But we'll dive into our 4th annual BSC award nominations. The official 4th annual Bandits show will be next Wednesday. We put it out on the social media sites on Monday as promised. The voting will end next Monday, June 9th at midnight. So all you have to do is just go on to any of the social media sites. I think we posted in all the Facebook groups, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, everything that I say in the intro. All you have to do is list a player's name. Now, bonus points if you list one name because it's your favorite, not favorites, which I don't really care. This is a fun thing to interact with the listeners. 2, if you could spell the players' names right, you get bonus points because, man, I'm looking through a few of these. I haven't totaled anything up. I'm not giving secrets on who's leading, whatever. I said, well, you can do that if you want. I've seen Frazier spelled with an I. I've seen Vince spelled with a C. I've seen just so many different types of spellings. Let's just try to be a little bit better with the spelling. Again, not knocking. I know what you mean. It's a little weird to see so many misspelled Bandits names when the majority of these players have won it 3 straight years and they've been on the team 5 straight years. But again, if you want to participate, this is another way that we can reach out to the listeners, to the fans of the Buffalo Bandits. If you want to be involved in this silly little, 4th annual, it's probably the most legendary one in Bandits history at this point, or NL history if you want to go that far back. But if you just want to name your favorite Bandit, it doesn't have to be your total favorite. It's just your favorite from this year. If it could be your favorite, whatever, just list a comment, DM us, email us, whatever you want to do. Just get that name over to us. Again, voting will close Monday, June 9th at midnight. There's been plenty of votes so far. If I had a guess, I think I know the name that's in the lead right now, just on how many comments have come in with that player's name. But I thought I knew who was going to win it last year, and it came down to, I think, 2 or 3 votes separated first and second place. So I'll look back and fact check that for next show. But yeah, definitely jump on any of the social media sites, whatever it is, find that post, find any of our shared content, and just leave a comment there. We will get it, and it will count. So I'm excited to see, because the chances of us having a repeat winner seem pretty slim. And it seems like it's slim based on not just the votes that are coming in, but the last 3 years we've also had a different winner every single year.
Yeah, part 1 of that, Vince is spelled with a C, so I'm not sure which incorrect spelling you saw, but C's correct. Maybe you saw a K?
I probably have seen a K also, yeah.
But part 2, I'm not going to lobby for any players. I have not made my personal vote yet. I don't want to sway anyone's decisions, but I'm just saying that maybe if a certain goaltender hears that he's, the fan favorite, it might just nudge him over the edge to stay one more season. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm even voting for Vince or anything, but if he sees that the fans truly love him, which he already knows, but if he needs an award to prove it, we can add something to his bajillion mantled trophy case that is probably one of the world's largest trophy cases of all time. But if he wants to add another one and then maybe come back for another season, that'd be great.
Yeah, between that, he's on the nominations for quite a few awards here as well. And the Mad Manny Minute will be back as well. We're going to hold off a little bit on that one because the totals got extreme last year.
You were running out of ideas. You pretty much ran his life.
I did. I'm going to have to get a little bit more creative this year. I didn't expect I was going to have to do it again. I'll do what I have to do to bring Matt and Vince back. But our 4th annual BSC award show, again, will be next Wednesday. Let's go through the nominations. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total awards. The first one was the fan vote. Last year, Chase Frazier brought it home. The year before that, it was the Hokananakoke. And the year before that, it was the one where we didn't take fan votes. It was just our vote, and we picked Max Adler. Congratulations. Those were the 3 award winners of that award. MVP now. Last year's winner was Dane Smith. The prior 2 years of this award have gone to Mad Vince. The nominees this year, Dane Smith, Ian McKay, Josh Byrne, Mad Vince, Nick Weiss. So 5 are up for this award this year. 2 of those 5 have won it in the past.
Yeah, this one's going to be extremely difficult this year, as it is most years with this team because they have so
And
many.
let me preference this real quick. Phil and I, normally with these award shows, we already know who the winner is. This award show, we have not voted, we have not discussed, we have not picked the winner yet. So we're literally talking about these nominations as they are in front of us.
Yeah, we're trying to defend every single one of them. I mean, that is something that we do is we discuss the nominations and who we think should be up for a nomination. And PK usually gives his list, and then I kind of confirm, add, or remove anybody kind of thing. So at this point, we are fighting for why we have everyone on this list. And this one, I think, is going to be tougher than normal. I mean, Dane, always up there. Josh, the last 2 seasons, absolutely up there. Usually is, but Dane was overshadowing him. I don't think that is the case anymore. He is just staying right with him. I mean, both tied at 134 points. Matt Vince, we already know. Nick Weiss, though, and Ian McKay, I don't want to say surprises by any means. Maybe headed into the season, like preseason, if you wanted to call out this award, I wouldn't have had McKay or Weiss necessarily for MVP, obviously for other awards potentially. But to see them up here, they are up here for a reason. Weiss, one of the quietest defenders in the entire league, and had one of his best seasons that he's ever had, and he did it in an extremely good way. And just he seemed different this year, and the fact that just normally we see very angry Nick Weiss, and we've seen it many times throughout the years, but this year he just seemed very kind of taking a back seat, but still playing at an extremely high level and arguably one of the best defenders on this team. But he just wasn't as in the front of things. He wasn't taking as many penalties. He just wasn't as intense, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but he did an extremely good job. And then Ian McKay, I will let you roll off of him because he's one of your favorites, and he should be one of everyone's favorites.
Yeah, I mean, coming into this season, Phil and I all off season were hammering home. Okay, you traded out Brad McCulley last season, in season. You traded Brandon Robinson this last off season, and you brought in a Clay Scanlon. You brought in a Tate Katoni. I mean, you brought in I can't remember a couple of the other
Emerson
draft
Clark
picks.
kicking around.
Emerson Clark was still kicking around. Who was going to be that third lefty? Because we know what type of third lefty had been on this team for prior years and how successful those players were in that role. And they kind of said Ian McKay was going to be our guy, and they were planning on doing it last year until the injuries on the back end. And him coming in, it's like, okay, I don't know. I'll flat out say I didn't like the move. I thought it was a very bad move because I thought it was going to hurt the transition in the defense. I do think it hurt the transition team, but man, it got balanced out by the offense that he did. 37 goals for a first-time full-time forward. It was unbelievable. He went back there on the defensive side and played a few games back there. But, man, he's going to have that transition tag removed, and he's going to be a full-time forward next year. And I know he was on, I think it was OTCB this last week, and saying, hey, maybe I won't be a full-time forward if he's got a good draft class, or somebody else comes in free agency. We'll dissect that later on in the offseason, but maybe he goes back to transition. But I don't know how you could take a 37-goal scorer and put him back on transition. I thought he was – the things that he added to a position that Phil and I were very worried about in this offseason was phenomenal. Then you already talked about Dane Smith, Josh Byrne, and Matt Vince. Those are obvious ones. And then Nick Weiss. And these awards go through the playoffs. Like, we're not like the NLL that the awards are just based on the regular season. These carry through the playoffs. I thought Nick Weiss stepped up his game immensely in the playoffs, and he was playing some of the best lacrosse that I have seen out of him. And not just because of the stats he was putting up, but in regular season, it seems like he was going rogue many, many times. In the playoffs, when he was going to double, it was for a purpose, and it was a smart decision. So if he can carry that over to the following year, it's going to be dangerous. But those are your 5 MVP nominations. Stay tuned for next Wednesday when we hand out the award for MVP. Will it be a new name, or will it be Dane Smith tying Matt Vince for 2, or will Matt Vince run away with it for a 3rd year out of 4? Defender of the Year. Last year's winner was the man that we just talked about, Nick Weiss, and the first 2 years were Steve Priolo. So those 2 names are the first 2 on the ballot, Steve Priolo and Nick Weiss. Cam Wires, Paul Dawson, and Justin Martin round out the 5 for Defender of the Year. Phil, what are your thoughts on the 5?
I think the big thing with Defender of the Year, especially with this list, and there was something I was looking at earlier just as I think we were going through the intro or something. I was just kind of taking a peek at stats, and this one blows my mind in a weird way. But I think the big thing with Defender of the Year is you can't look at stats. I think stats don't show the whole picture. I mean, if you did, I think Nick Weiss and Priolo are easily front runners for just Defender of the Year based on stats alone. Obviously,
and Justin Martin's not on the list.
correct. And that's the thing. And even Paul Dawson, like, yes,
Yeah.
his block shots are through the roof. No one's arguing that. But the rest of his stats aren't near what a Nick Weiss and Steve Priolo are doing. But what he offers as a veteran on that defense is extremely important. And even like you mentioned, I did end up reading the article. Matt Vince went out of his way to say if Paul Dawson's not here, I don't know if we win the last two championships because of what he brings not only to this defense but to Matt Vince and what he means to Matt Vince and the communication they have, the
Chemistry.
rapport, chemistry that they have together. It just everything works really, really well with those two. So yes, his stats might not be where the others are, but what he adds to this defense is huge. And Justin Martin, like you just mentioned, another huge name, and he was the one I was looking at, and I cannot believe that he has less than one loose ball a game. I understand his role, but you think just throughout a game, he's on the field a lot. You would think throughout a game he's picking up at least one loose ball a game, and he didn't. He had less than one a game. He finished with 11 in 16 games. Wild to me, but at the same time, that's why stats don't matter necessarily for defense. Martin is easily one of the best defenders on that team, and he is, I think, the one they go to when, they need somebody shut down. If there's somebody on the other team that they see as their true main threat, they will be like, hey, Justin Martin, you got to go shadow him the whole game, and he does an incredible job at that. So what Justin Martin brings to the defense may not be in stats, but he makes up for with his lockdown defender ability, which is through the roof. And Cam Wires also had an incredible season. I think you can really see the growth that he's had this year. I think he turned into a kind of blend of Priolo, Weiss, and Dawson kind of all together into one player. Had a lot of blocks. He's learning a lot from Dawson, standing right next to him quite often. But he also has that transition element to him. He's got that speed. He's got that size. He's got the attitude. But this year, I thought he just took another step forward, and he had a really, really good season as well.
Yeah, just to talk about Justin Martin, on top of, for an example of going to cover their best player, he shut down Austin Shanks in the game 3. I mean, just Austin Shanks had those two first goals, and then you pretty much had Martin or another player shadowing him. It was every other shift Martin was out there. The second thing with loose balls, Martin in his career, he's played in 122 games. He's got a tick over one loose ball a game. He's got 182 for his career. But he's just not that type of player. But I think you said it perfectly. You can't just take numbers and base it on the quality of the defenders because there's so many different defenders in this league. You look at like a Warren Jeffrey out in Colorado. He doesn't put up the big time numbers, but he's a great lockdown defender. That's what Justin Martin is for Buffalo. And you hear it from the players all the time that Justin Martin is so underrated. That is one thing that we can pat our backs on is Justin Martin is not underrated on this show. We talk about him quite a lot. And did I harp on him last season or the year before? I can't remember what it was. I thought he was not having that good of a season. And then playoffs turned around. I'm like, holy cow, okay, Justin Martin is officially back. I think his play is underrated amongst the majority of Buffalo Bandits fans that are just at the game or just looking at the box scores. But I think, Steve Priolo and Nick Weiss are going to get the stats. You have the Paul Dawson with the block shots and what he adds to the penalty kill and the special teams element of it. And then the Cam Wires, I think he's turning into a very well-rounded defender. I still think he has a bit of ways to go because I still think he has too many valleys to his peaks. But I do think that he was vastly improved this year and took a massive step. I'm very excited to see what he can bring next year as well. But those are your 5 Defender of the Year nominees. Stay tuned next Wednesday for the awards. We'll move on. Offensive Player of the Year. Last year, Josh Byrne, like the first 2 awards, the year 1 and year 2, went to Dane Smith. The nominees this year is Josh Byrne, Dane Smith, Ian McKay, Kyle Buchanan, and Chase Frazier. Another 5 stack for Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, most of those players except Chase all had 30-plus goals. And a lot of it comes down to, like, we see the assist numbers from Dane. You see them from Josh, and Yes, those are impressive, obviously. But those don't come without the supporting cast of the rest of the players around them. Ian McKay went out there and shattered all of his offensive records. Obviously, went from transition slash defense to offense, but even though we kind of expected if he was going to play a full-time role that he'd have a good shot at breaking those numbers, I don't think anybody expected him to do as well as he did. I don't know if he expected himself to do quite this well. And even Buchanan himself also broke his own personal career best in goals for. So you have the players that have the supporting cast. I mean, how many times did we see Dane and Kyle link up for that give and go and the pick and roll, and that worked pretty much to perfection just over and over and over? Like Dane, as great as he is, and he is incredible, does not get to 102 assists without having 102 goals from other players. So it is important to, note that a lot of the supporting cast, yes, they're considered supporting because you have two of the greatest in the entire league right now on your team. But without them, Dane and Josh aren't going to be as elite as they are. And the supporting cast they have, as we continue saying supporting, kind of in quotes, is an elite supporting cast that we've talked about plenty of times, could go off and be 1As pretty much in any other team, or at least, 1A, 1B to somebody else on another team. They're very, very important. And Chase Fraser for the league is amazing. I mean, he's just making highlight reel goals all the time. Yes, the ones in the finals were highlighted a little bit more, but he's been doing that for years. I mean, I even went back recently and just was watching the old championship game highlights for fun, and you see him pull off these incredible moves all the time that, some were even better than what he did this year, and it's just something he adds to the team, he adds to the offense, and those kind of goals, they've talked about it plenty of times. McKay mentioned in an interview that those goals can be crippling to another team's momentum, to another team's just energy to play the game when a goal like that goes in. And honestly, I think it was Morning Shoot Around that mentioned that he's the villain of the league right now, but that's what you need in this league. It's similar to when the Patriots were great for the NFL and Kansas City's been great for the NFL. Like, nobody wants to watch a Super Bowl without an evil team in it. Like, yeah, it's still fun to eat the food, but you're not really going to care about what you're watching. But when you have an emotional vested interest of, I don't like this team, I want to see them lose, it feels a lot better. So even when Chase is doing amazing things, yes, you can root against him, but like they were mentioning, you're kind of going to go to those games to be like, I don't like this player. I know I don't like this player because he's great and I want to go watch him fail. So I'm going to go to the game and watch it. But they all bring something different, but they all deserve to be on this list.
Yeah, I think this is the clear and obvious top five for the offensive side of the ball. Josh and Dane, they're going to get theirs. I mean, they're going to be on every offensive and MVP type of list in the league. I don't really have to...
One may have won it for the league.
Yeah, I don't have to really talk about it here. Ian McKay, I mean, we already talked about him for the MVP. I'm not going to dive into that one too much. You just went into Chase Frazier. I'll talk about Kyle Buchanan a little bit more here, and it's kind of what we talked about last season and going into this season is just how important of a player he is. And I know there's plenty of Kyle Buchanan fans. I know a lot of people are mentioning him for the fan favorite award, but I don't think that people truly appreciate exactly what type of player he is. And not even just the veteran presence, but he's the elder statesman on this offensive side of the ball. And then it's Dane Smith and so on and so forth. But I mean, the ability that he does on that offense, I mean, that one Chase Frazier goal, that crippling one was it the Vancouver game? I think it was the Vancouver game where Kyle Buchanan digs that loose ball on his offside and then finds Chase Frazier in front of the net to score that. That doesn't happen with any other player but Kyle Buchanan, in my honest opinion. I don't see any other player on this side, on this offense, do what Kyle Buchanan can do. And that's why we say he's so critical to this team. And you can take out his career high in goals, because to me, that's not what he brings to this offense. It's everything else. He's the smallest guy on the field majority of the time. He's still setting those picks, and he has that chemistry with Dane Smith. I don't think Dane Smith sets these assist records if Kyle Buchanan's not on the team. He's just so valuable to that offensive unit, and that's another reason why I really hope, and he said it you mentioned it to me, he said it at the parade. If he's coming back, it's only in Buffalo, and I really hope he's back, because I don't think this offense doesn't completely change, but I think a lot of the elements of it go away if Kyle Buchanan is not there. So that is the 5 nominees for Offensive Player of the Year. Again, it will be announced on Wednesday's show next week. Phil, before we dive into our final 4, let's dive into our second and final sponsor of this episode, Tap That Taproom.
Tap That Taproom is at 363 Delaware Street in Tonawanda, New York. They are Buffalo's first women-owned self-pour bar featuring 30 consistently rotating taps offering a wide variety of beers, cider, sour, seltzers, and malt beverages.
And that patio is open, and it was a beautiful day on Tuesday. Head out there for Wednesday. But as we said all last offseason, get out your calendar because since we're only one show a week, we dive into the whole week's worth of Tap That Taproom. They have a very busy week ahead. Wednesday is trivia night with Geeks Who Drink. That is every Wednesday at 7:30. Maybe you can play a little bit on the patio and sweat your butt off when it's 90 degrees on Wednesday. Thursday, 6 to 10 is Thank You Thursdays. 10% off your whole tab for teachers, military, and first responders. That is a massive thank you, and that is a massive thing that Tap That Taproom does. Happy hour Friday from 3 to 7. That is June 6th with Orso Pizza at 5 p.m. And it's also a triple feature because Nobody Special is performing from 8 to 11. Saturday, June 7th, they are opening at 6 with Orso Pizza once again. And then Sunday, opening at 4 for Sunday Fun Day with beer wall discounts. And don't forget, if you are watching, the NHL finals are going on, and as long as Tap That Taproom is open, they will be showing the games. The upcoming games are actually tonight, Wednesday, if you're listening to this Wednesday, Friday, and then the following Thursday, so you can head down there to watch it as long as Tap That Taproom is open. Buckle up, because this is going to be a very long and fun summer at Tap That Taproom, because, Phil, they have something.
For everyone. Do you care who wins the Stanley Cup?
To be honest, I don't care. Actually, I'll take it back. I want Edmonton to win so they can keep the streak alive of a former Sabre winning it, and seeing Jeff Skinner raise that cup would bring joy to my face.
That's fair.
I would love it.
That's fair.
But, yeah, check out Facebook and Instagram for everything else, and check out tapthattaproom.com for what's on tap and what's on deck. You got better. This goes to the most improved player. The prior year winners. Last year was Cam Wires. The year before that was Ian McKay, and the year before that was Josh Byrne. Clearly, this is an award you want to win. There are 4 nominees on this list. Zach Belter, Connor Farrell, Matt Spanger, and Dylan Robinson. I think each one are on there for a different reason, but I do think that all 4 of these deserve to be on this spot because I think all of them took a massive step forward this season.
Yeah, we can start with Zach Belter. I think similar to Cam Wires, but like they're on a similar developmental path. But the big difference is Cam Wires had to start the season last year right away, where that wasn't necessarily the plan with him, but he was just kind of thrown out there. And then Belter came along as the season went on. He had a few healthy scratches, but eventually worked his way
injured to start the season as well.
Yes. And then eventually worked his way into the lineup and then worked his way into being a consistent player on the team. And then this year was his first full season. And you could see the difference out there that he is truly making a step forward. I do love him and Wires as the 2 players that came in at the same time, both on defense. And I love that they're very opposite in the way they play. And Belter is your realistically future Justin Martin whenever Justin Martin hangs it up. Hopefully not for a long time, but eventually I think he will be kind of his, protege per se, because I think they're very similar. Neither of them get the big time stats, but Zach Belter is another very large shutdown defender out there, and he makes his presence known. I think he does a really, really good job. Seems to be a fantastic team player as well. Connor Farrell, you could see the difference from year 1 to year 2. I think he really settled in and started to learn the box game. And even throughout games, you could see him make the tiny adjustments in game. He wasn't really sticking with, kind of a one-trick pony. If this works, good. If it doesn't work, I have nothing. You could see him make the adjustments. Spanger is unfortunate. But when he did come back, I know I think it was last year.
Yep.
We're pretty down on him, and I agree. It looked like he just lost a step coming off of the injury. And then this year, through the first 8 games when he was playing, he looked really, really good. Everyone seemed to be happy he was back in the lineup. He had a little bit of transition to him. He just looked like the player you saw a few years ago. And then, like I said, unfortunately, he got injured as well. And then Dylan Robinson, I think, is quite possibly, I know Martin and Belzer are, well, Martin especially, but he might be the other one that's just kind of forgotten about on this defense. And yet he brings quite the impact every single time. And you can see that he's a very young player that continues to get better as well.
Yeah, I'll work in reverse order. I think Dylan Robinson, I think you hit it perfectly. I think he's kind of the forgotten man back there until I still want him to take that next step forward in the transition role that I keep waiting for. But it's also fun to think about that he's super young and he was in the same draft class as Cam Wires and Zach Belter. He just came along a year earlier. But I do have high hopes for him and where he goes into year 4. Matt Spanger, I flat out did not want to see him back in a uniform. I thought he lost a step. And throughout the offseason, I kind of lightened up on that, thinking, okay, maybe this is injury related. And then he signed even before free agency. I was like, oh, they have plans for him on this team. And then he does go down injured. But I do think that he worked his way back into not just my favor, but fans' favor. And I think his game took that next step forward, and not even next step forward because he's a veteran presence on this team, but he rebounded from his down previous season. Even though he got hurt again. It's very disappointing that we didn't get to see a full season out of Matt Spanger, but I liked what I saw in the limited time that I saw him. Connor Farrell, I think the biggest thing that I saw from him is when the ball's in his stick, he knows what to do with it now. Because there was far too many times, especially early in the season, he would win it, and whether it's his fault, the play design, or the players on the field, he just ran into a corner, and then it was an instant turnover. So to me, why do you have a Fogo if that's the plan? Like, if they put the ball on their stick, and they have no idea what to do with it, or the players on the field have no idea where to go, it's a useless position. Just go back and play defense. Have Ian McKay do the faceoffs, even though I know he doesn't want to take the faceoffs anymore. It's just, I think he, and you summed it up perfectly, even the adjustments in game, and in the finals in game 3, he was winning good faceoffs against a really good faceoff man that he, in fact, trained. And then the last one is Zach Belter. I think it's less about him being the next Justin Martin. I think he's a combo between Paul Dawson and Justin Martin, where he has the size and the brute strength of a Paul Dawson, but he has the defensive smarts and the lack of stats or the lockdown presence of a Justin Martin. So I think he's a combo. And if you can keep Dylan Robinson and Zach Belter and Cam Wires around on this team for years to come, it's just the next wave of defenders. And even see what Taylor Dooley comes into and see what Trent Robertson comes into. It's just another young wave of
Anton
defenders.
Giovanni.
That Anton Giovanni, if he comes back and plays as well. But this work that Steve Dietrich did with rebuilding this defense while the core is still there, it's so impressive of a job that he did. But those are your 4 nominees for the You Got Better Most Improved Player Award. We'll move on to Get It Rook and Newbie. It's for the Rookie of the Year or the Newcomer. Last year's winner was Paul Dawson. The year before that, Dylan Robinson. And the year before that, Tehoka Nanticoke. Yes, we've been doing it so long that Tehoka Nanticoke was a rookie in year 1 of covering this team. Nominees this year, buckle up, there's a lot of them. Clay Scanlon, Taylor Dooley, Thomas Whitty, Ron John, Lucas Nielsen, and Kyle Matisse. 6 nominees for this award.
Yeah, there's a lot to go into this, and I do think we need to adjust the Sabres one to this as well, because we had one obvious rookie. I like that this is newbie/newcomer as well, to add some
in
other
our defense, there was nobody really to add. We do have it in the Sabres. It's just there was nobody new to the team. Well, I guess there was. I'm thinking
so
like
McLeod.
I was thinking more of like a early season edition. Yeah, I think if the Sabres are still a part of the show, I don't want them to be, but that's a future discussion. Why do you bring up the Sabres on this one, Phil?
I'm sorry. Back to positive things. Clay Scanlon, speaking of positive, when he was out there, he made the impact we were hoping for. And he was one that, again, early in the season, it looked like he was just hesitant. It looked like he was, and rightfully so. He's a rookie, and I think he was one that just kind of knew what the team expected from him, but it wasn't going out of his way to make any big plays or take any big risks. He was out there passing the ball, getting loose balls, fighting hard, trying to set picks, but didn't really trust his own shot or his own ability. I think the change we saw in him, especially even in the playoffs, again, getting that call from a healthy scratch, hey, Cloutier can't go this week or this game, you're going in, you got to make an impact, and he goes out there and scores 2 incredible goals. Like, to see the confidence that he had grown throughout the year was fantastic. I think you do see a lot of Kyle Buchanan in him, not only being kind of sneaky with the way he's getting open right on top of the crease, but also the loose balls, the fighting to the very last second when he's the only one on the field and he's fighting against three guys for a last second loose ball, wins it, gets it back to the team. Like, those are the Kyle Buchanan kind of thing, attributes that you see so much and love so much in him that we are now starting to see in Scanlon with the very similar name and number. Don't know if that was on purpose, but I do like it. Dooley, we didn't really see much of when he was out there. He looked like a rookie, so I'm not going to bash him too much. I just don't think he had the amount of time he needed to really settle in. And again, it's very similar to Cam Wires and Belter through their first 4 games, especially Wires. You and I were not thrilled with what he was out there doing, but that's expected when you're a rookie. I think we saw flashes of good things from Dooley, but then you had plenty of rookie mistakes out there, which, again, it's going to happen when you're a rookie and you're not getting consistent play time. Whitty is one of the most exciting ones to me, especially with how he took off in the playoffs. Like you said, our rewards go through the playoffs, and I think he played the best we had ever seen him in the playoffs. I don't know if it took him that long to truly settle in, but I even mentioned it toward the back half of the season. It looked like he was getting his loose balls a lot more. He was up to 10, 11, 12 per game and was oftentimes at the top of the lead for the team. You could see his transition ability was added in there, and then he had that one down game, which you ripped him apart, and then he bounced back, and he had a great playoff run. And I think him and Belter, as Bermel mentioned, looked incredible in the playoffs. And if that is the kind of player, like Whitty is someone who you and I have mentioned as someone you could possibly just kind of, there's multiple Whitties on the Bandits that are interchangeable. I think he's starting to push himself away from that conversation, that he truly did take that step forward and is a bigger part of this defense than I think he was at the beginning of the season. And I'm going to let you take the other 3.
Yeah, Ron John and Matisse were good additions when you needed them to be, because you could never have enough depth on the back end for a playoff run. And Matisse stepped up when he needed to. He got healthy in the finals and came back. I think Ron John was in his place until he did come back. He was kind of a placeholder in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs until Matisse came back. Will they both be back? I have no idea. It'll be very interesting, but I think this is another year where Dietrich makes a trade and brings in acquisitions that lead to another championship. Lucas Nielsen, I liked his play the 2 games that we did see from him. It will be interesting to see, and I'm trying not to talk about next year's as much, but it will be interesting to see, okay, if Kyle Buchanan doesn't come back, is it Nielsen that takes his place, or do they go lefty heavy? It will be interesting to see how that transpires, because Scanlon is a UFA because he was on the practice squad. It will be interesting because Taylor Dooley is also a UFA, but I expect him to be coming back. Ron John, he's an RFA. Matisse is a UFA, so it will be interesting to see if a lot of these players do come back. But yeah, Whitty, he's one of those ones that I think he fits in so perfectly, because when the lights get brighter, he steps up his game even more. And that's what we saw in the playoffs. It's same with Zach Belter. Zach Belter was getting the stats that we weren't seeing in the regular season in the playoffs as well with those cost turnovers. I think he had 3 in 1 game alone. But yeah, Thomas Whitty was a massive addition for a player that we did not want to see go. Like, we both wanted Brandon Robinson back on this team because of what he added, and we just saw an MVP Offensive Player of the Year from a Josh Byrne when Brandon Robinson is in the lineup. And when he goes out the door and you bring in Thomas Whitty, it's like, okay, what is this? But I think you summed it up perfectly, that he is separating himself from the other Thomas Whitty type of players on the field, where it's hard to take him out of the lineup after what we saw in the playoffs. Clay Scanlon, like I mentioned, he's that, like you mentioned, I should say, he's like that Kyle Buchanan 2.0, ready to step into the waves, and then Taylor Dooley, we'll see what comes from him. But yeah, I think these 6 nominees, I think you can make a case for majority of them to win this award, and I think this is going to be a hot debated idea, because I think I know which way you lean, and it'll be interesting to see as I dig into it a little bit more which way I lean. But again, Wednesday, find out the winner of that one. This is my favorite award, the Undisputed Sleeper. This goes to the under-acknowledged player on the team. Last year's winner, finally, was Justin Martin. He was nominated for so many years, finally got it to him. Year 2 was Brad McCulley, and the year 1 was Kyle Buchanan. You can kind of see the theme of this award and who we hand it out to, because Justin Martin might not win Defender of the Year. He might not win the MVP type of player on this team, but he goes to the undisputed and the under-acknowledged player that adds value to this team. This year's nominees, there's quite a few of them. There's 6 under this one as well. Cal Buchanan returns. Nick Weiss is there. Justin Martin returns to defend his title. Zach Belter, Thomas Whitty, and Chris Cloutier on this team and on this nominee and on this ballot.
Belter, if he wins any of these, we got to give him a belt instead of a trophy because of his last name.
Good call.
The only player we have not discussed in detail, obviously, there's a reason we've talked about most of these players, being part of this award without discussing this award, as we've discussed them in general. Buchanan, huge, very quiet, but like you said, that veteran presence. I already talked about Nick Weiss being very quiet this season as far as. Again, it's weird to say it. I just don't know how to describe it, but he was very calm, I guess is the best way to say it. Even
though he had like 52 penalty minutes?
Yeah.
Led the team.
But for Nick Weiss, I feel like he was calm.
That's fair, yes. You didn't see the vintage him fighting Billy Hochstetler.
Right. He wasn't bloodied every other game this year. So, yes, the penalties were there. Yes, the anger, the slashes, the aggression were still there, but it wasn't too the level we had seen in the past. So he was a little bit quieter this year. Justin Martin, Zach Belter, we've already talked about a lot. Whitty as well. So Chris Cloutier, the big thing with him, obviously his numbers down from what he would like, and I think he mentioned himself, or the players said that he'd be one of the first to mention that his numbers were down a bit this year. But what he did bring, and why he's on this list, is the lane setting ability, the picking ability for the Josh Byrne, for the Ian McKay, who stepped up in kind of Chris Coutier's absence, but at the same time, again, not really. It's just, I don't think that it was necessarily a down year. It was more his role shifted, and he became the Brandon Robinson, but can also score a lot of goals, even though Brandon Robinson randomly would throw just the filthiest goals out of absolutely nowhere for a big man. But Chris Cloutier can do the exact same. We saw it in the finals with his fake shot, getting on the crease and, dunk it over Chiliano and then kick his feet, which was fun to watch. But I think his role in this team just changed, and he needed to be that bruiser for the left side because nobody else really was. And that's not, again, we've seen Josh Byrne adapt as well. He was also playing very hard, very heavy, and would set lanes and, throw picks. Same with Ian McKay. I'm not saying those players aren't doing that, but you need one guy over there who's mainly creating those lanes and setting those picks. And this year it was Chris Cloutier, and that is why he's on this award.
Yeah, if you do the numbers, your top 2 goal scorers on this team were Josh Byrne and Ian McKay. There's a common theme there. Left-hand side, they scored a combined 81 goals. You're not scoring that if Chris Cloutier doesn't adapt his role. And you're not doing that if, and this is a grand scheme of it, and exactly why I think JT should be nominated for head coach of the year, is it's not just the collection of talent. You have to have these guys buy into specific roles and not try to be, okay, it's my turn to go get that. It's, okay, if I have the hot hand, I'm taking it. If I don't, somebody else will. And I think that's part of the reason that San Diego collects all this talent, but they're not getting over that hump, because I don't think that they have a coach like JT, and this is no shot at Pat Merrill whatsoever, don't hear what I'm not saying. But it's not like JT has these players buy into certain roles. Chris Cloutier could go out and score 35, 40 goals for any other team in this league, but he plays this specific role. And coming onto this one, yeah, his numbers aren't there this year. I think he struggled at points in this year, but he was also playing a role that he's not used to. When have you ever seen a guy like Chris Cloutier, who just scored 9 goals for North Carolina in their lead up to win the national championship, still the only unseeded team to ever win a national championship in college lacrosse? He's taken this different role, and he's being that lane setter, and he's taken over that Brandon Robinson role, and that's a massive credit to a player like him. And again, we're not talking about, we don't know who the winner is, but that's why he is on this one, because he took over a big role that was a big vacant, and that's what we were saying in the offseason, is who's going to be that lane setter, who's going to be that bruiser on that side, because that's what this common theme is for the Buffalo Bandits. You need one of those guys to step up, and it was Chris Cloutier. And I think we are kind of already talked about, Cal Buchanan's on there for a reason. Zach Belter's on there for a reason. Justin Martin's on there for a reason. Thomas Whitty kind of stepped up his game, so I don't know if I can call him a sleeper as much, but he is not talked about as much as a lot of other players. And then Nick Weiss. I mean, for Nick Weiss, to me, it's more about a league perception of him than just the team perception of him. But yeah, I think all 6 of these players, again, can make an argument for it, and I think that's why I absolutely love this award. Those are your 6 nominees. Again, come back Wednesday, and I'm going to pump it up. That award show is massive, and hopefully it's not 80 degrees, because I'm not looking forward to getting all dressed up in this room when it's really hot. But the last one...
2 things real
yes.
quick. One, about Tavares and just the egos on this team. You had Josh Byrne, a former MVP, in the finals and in the playoffs, taking a step back and letting the other players take a role because he knew his shot was a little bit off, or he knew he was a little bit off. He's like, okay, I'm not going to shoot 40 times a game and not score. I'm going to take a step back and let the other players who have the hot hand, let them score because I'm not doing it enough. And then you had to have his teammates calling him out, be like, no, we trust you. We have confidence in you. But to have a player that was number one in the league in points, had 44 goals throughout the season, be able to put that completely aside and put the team first and say, listen, my stick isn't working right now. I'm a little bit banged up. My shot's not falling. I need the other teammates to step up. I'm going to go into a more supporting role. And you saw him play that much more physical in the playoffs to try to kind of set lanes for Ian McKay to get him open because it wasn't working for Josh with his injury. I mean, just to see a player of that level be able to take a step back and not want to be the focus is just wild. And then part two,
bench him.
Yeah, please bench him for game 3. He's not needed or any of his goals or points. I do also plan on going all out and dressed up this year, so hopefully it is not hot, but little teaser, now dress it up.
Oh, is it coming back?
Wink, might be coming back.
Oh, baby. I can't believe it still fits. Last one. Give me more. Give me more.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that you probably haven't worn it since years and years and years ago.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's bulk season, baby. Give me more. Give me more. Want to see more of, or this player needs to step up. It's our own interpretation of this idea of this award. Last year's winner was Matt Vince. I think it's pretty clear and obvious. We wanted more of him in net, and we got it. The year before that, Sam LaRue. That's an asterisk one. Didn't really get it, and he moved on to Ottawa. Year one was Brad McCulley, and I think we saw more of it, and then we were sad to see him go in the trade, but the trade ended up bringing in a Paul Dawson for the assets that he got. This year's award winners, for all different reasons, Matt Vince, award nominees, not winners.
There you go.
Matt Vince, Steve Orleman, Zach Belter, Tehoka Nanticoke, Lucas Nielsen, and Clay Scanlon.
Yeah, some of these are obvious. Matt Vince, just come back. Come back.
That's all we need.
We'll give it to you. You know, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, and we haven't picked anybody, but if you claim that you're coming back before these are officially finalized, we will give you that award guaranteed. Steve Orleman, and I think you put that one in there because it kind of hinges on Matt Vince and what happens there. So we'll see on that one. Zach Belter, I think we just want to continue to see him grow as a defender. He already took that next step forward this year. He's on the nominees for Got Much Better. But I think we want to continue to see that progress and see him take that next step and be even better of a defender. I think there is another level in his game, and he's only had one full year under his belt. And I think even this year, he only played 14 games, so he doesn't even fully had a season that he's been fully healthy and fully out there. So I think he can get a little bit better. Nanticoke absolutely had a down season. I think his role changed a little bit to be more of that bruiser, but he just seemed to just be off a little bit with his shooting, with his bull rushes to the net. Everything seemed a little bit different. I don't know if the league adjusted to him or he just tried to adjust his own game. I think we just need to see a little bit more offense from him. Nielsen, it's all going to, in my opinion, come down to Buchanan, what happens there. But if Nielsen does get out there a little bit more, simply need to see more of him playing. And then Scanlon, exact same thing. We'll see if he gets into more games, finds a bigger role on this team. This offseason is going to have a lot of implications for a lot of different players and role players on this team.
Yeah, I'll run it in reverse again as well. Lucas Nielsen and Clay Scanlon, it depends on Kyle Buchanan. If he doesn't come back, it'll be those guys that need to step up, and I think it's going to be one of those two. I do not believe they're both going to be in the lineup at the same time. It will be, do they go what has gotten them 3 straight finals is 4 righties and 3 lefties, or do they switch it up and Clay Scanlon makes the appearance, or do they push Ian McKay in the back? That's the only way I can see both of them in the lineup at the same time. As Ian McKay goes back to the back end, Clay Scanlon takes his spot, Chris Kluche becomes more of that goal scorer again, and Lucas Nielsen's that water bug on the other side. Tehoka Nanticoke, I think it's safe to say that out of the offense, I think he had the biggest down season, and we haven't seen that in the 3 years. It was more like a junior slump instead of a sophomore slump, so we'll see if Kyle Buchanan does not return. And I think a lot of that has to do with Kyle Buchanan scoring his career high in goals and Chase Frazier having a great season as well. So there's always going to be a fourth fiddle on the right-hand side, and this year it just happened to be Doak Kananiko. I think if Kyle Buchanan does not return, he's another player that needs to step up. Zach Belter, to me, I have him on this spot because if Paul Dawson doesn't return, I think you need a guy like Zach Belter to step up in his place, and there's going to be a massive void on that penalty kill. Does Zach Belter step into that type of role, or does he kind of take up that role on 5-on-5? I think that would be somebody that I think give me more and step up depending on a Paul Dawson if he comes out of that lineup. If Kyle Matisse isn't there, you're going to need some of these younger guys to step up into bigger roles, and I do think that Zach Belter is kind of in the waiting for that when the space opens up. Matt Vince is, like you said, just come back, and then Steve Orleman. If Matt Vince does not return, I think Steve Orleman right now, based on our numbers that we're looking in free agency and based on the trade market right now, it's looking like Steve Orleman is going to be the leader in the clubhouse going into this offseason. So we would need him to step up massively. I know there's no replacing Matt Vince, but I think if there's a goaltender that has the characteristics to play with that pressure, I think it's Steve Orleman, who, again, not knowing the guy, not knowing a ton of his history, I think he has the ability to let a lot of stuff slide off his shoulders, especially having had Matt Vince in his back pocket for the last year and a half, 2 years. I think he would be a good goaltender that could either be a transition goaltender or a player that could step up into the pipes and make it his own. So those are your 6 nominees for Gimme More, Gimme More. I will sing it on the next show, so stay tuned. But those are the 8 awards. Want to remind everybody that the fan favorite voting is still open until Monday, June 9th at midnight. Go to any of the social media sites, go to any of the Facebook pages, wherever it is, we will find it. Just cast your vote for one of your favorite players this year, not multiple. I'm looking at you, multiple people that voted for multiple people. I'm only counting your first vote, so if it's out of order, not my problem. That's why it's favorite and not favorites. But Phil, this concludes this episode. Is there anything else you would like to add to our first off-season show for the next 6 months?
No, I think I am all set.
That's perfect. On our next show, which will again be next Wednesday, we will go through our BSC Bandits awards for the 4th straight season. You know the nominees. Let us know on the social media sites who you think should win each one, and let us know if we missed anybody on our nominees, because even if we did, I don't care. That's why I have the microphone and you don't. I'm just kidding, sort of. So that will wrap up this episode. Again, we will be back next Wednesday to go through our awards. So thank you all for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Thank you to Tap That Tap Room and Phrase Flowers for sponsoring this episode and this podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Check out our store on our link tree on our socials or at the shop tab at the top of the website. Make sure you follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Remember to go vote. Fan favorite, BSC Bandits Award Show. We'll see you next Wednesday. Until next time.